I hired a contractor to redo my basement. I figured it was time. The place had been sitting there for years, full of dust and boxes I did not want to open. 3 hours after he started, my phone rang. His voice was shaking so bad I barely recognized it. "Mr. Chen, you need to come home right now. I found something behind one of the walls. There is a room down here. And sir, it looks like somebody has been living in it." My hand started trembling around the phone. "What do you mean somebody has been living in it?" "There is a bed. Food containers. Clothes. And I can hear breathing." For a second I could not even process what he was saying. "Get out of the house," I told him. "Right now. Call the police and wait outside." I left my accounting office in downtown Toronto and drove home like a man who had forgotten how to breathe. My mind would not slow down. My wife, Patricia, had died 6 years earlier from lung cancer. At least that is what I believed. Our daughter, Sophie, was away at university in Montreal. So who in God's name could be living in my basement? Let me explain. My name is David Chen. I am 63 years old. I have lived in the same house in North York for 35 years. Patricia and I bought it when we were newly married. We raised Sophie in that house. Every birthday, every holiday, every ordinary Tuesday night dinner happened inside those walls. 7 years ago, Patricia got her diagnosis. Stage 4 lung cancer. The doctors told us she might have 6 months. Maybe a year if treatment worked. It felt like someone had taken a hammer to our lives. She fought as hard as anyone I have ever seen. Chemotherapy. Radiation. Endless appointments. But the cancer did not care how strong she was. I took a leave of absence from work to take care of her. Sophie came home from school every weekend. We tried to pretend we still had time. We watched old movies. We cooked her favorite meals. We talked about memories instead of the future. Patricia spent her last months in palliative care. When she passed away, we held a small funeral, just close family and friends. She had asked to be cremated. I scattered her ashes in High Park, the place where we used to walk every Sunday morning. I remember standing there with the wind blowing and thinking my life was over. The grief almost destroyed me. For 2 years I moved through life like a ghost. Sophie worried about me constantly. Then, 3 years ago, I met someone. Her name was Melissa Parker. She was a nurse at Sunnybrook Hospital. 49 years old. Soft-spoken. Patient. She had lost her husband to a heart attack 5 years earlier. We met at a support group for widowers and widows. We did not fall in love overnight. We just understood each other. We both knew what it felt like to wake up and reach for someone who was not there anymore. Melissa never pushed me. She never told me to pack away Patricia's clothes or repaint the bedroom. When our wedding anniversary came around and I broke down crying, she held me. She let me grieve. Little by little, she helped me stand back up. 2 years ago, she moved into my house. Sophie was not sure about it at first. She was protective of her mother's memory, and I respected that. But Melissa never tried to replace Patricia. She was careful. Kind. She kept her place in the house without stepping on the past. Last month, I asked Melissa to marry me. She said yes. We planned a small wedding for the summer. Sophie told me she was happy for me. But I noticed something had changed. She stopped coming home as often. During reading week, she said she was too busy to visit. When she did come by, she seemed nervous. Restless. Like she was always listening for something. I told myself it was stress from her engineering program. The basement renovation had been Melissa's idea. That space is just collecting dust and old memories, she had said. Let's make it useful. You could have a proper home office. Maybe even a guest room for Sophie. She was right. I had avoided the basement for years. Too many of Patricia's old belongings were stored down there. Boxes I could not bring myself to open. I hired a contractor named Brandon Miller. My neighbor recommended him. He looked experienced and professional. He started on a Monday morning while I was at the office and Melissa was working the day shift at the hospital. That was the morning he called me. By the time I pulled into my driveway, 2 police cars were parked in front of my house. Brandon was standing on the lawn, pale as paper. 2 officers met me at the door. Officer Kevin Brooks and Officer Aaron Martinez. "Mr. Chen," Officer Brooks said calmly, "we need you to stay composed. We have cleared the main floor and the second floor. We were about to search the basement when you arrived." Did the contractor explain what he found? He said there was some kind of hidden room. There appears to be a concealed space behind a false wall in your basement storage area, Officer Martinez said. He reported hearing sounds from inside. "We need to investigate further, but we wanted you here." None of it made sense. "I have lived here for 35 years, I said. "How could there be a hidden room? When was the last time you went into that storage area?" Officer Brooks asked. I had to think about it. Years. Maybe not since before my wife died. It is just old furniture, holiday decorations, things we stopped using. We walked down the basement stairs together. The officers led the way with flashlights. My legs felt weak. Part of the drywall near the old storage section had been torn open. Behind it, I could see another wall. It looked newer than the rest. Someone had built a false wall, creating a hidden compartment behind it. Officer Martinez stepped forward and called out loudly, "This is the Toronto Police Service. If anyone is inside, please answer. You are not in trouble. We are here to help you." At first, there was nothing. Then I heard it. So faint I almost thought I imagined it. "Help me." It was barely more than a whisper. But I knew that voice. Every drop of blood in my body seemed to turn to ice. The officers looked at each other. "Mr. Chen, please step back," Officer Brooks said. "We are going to open this wall." They worked carefully, cutting away drywall piece by piece. It took about 20 minutes before they uncovered a door. The door had a heavy-duty deadbolt on it. On the outside, Officer Brooks called for backup and for paramedics. "Do you have any idea who might be in there?" he asked me. I could not answer him. Because that voice I had just heard, it sounded exactly like Patricia. And that was impossible. The officers forced the lock. The metal snapped with a loud crack, and the door slowly swung inward. Behind it was a small room, maybe 10 feet by 12 feet. It did not look like part of my house. It looked like something built in secret. There was a narrow cot pushed against the wall. Shelves made from cheap boards held canned food, plastic containers, and bottles of water. A bucket sat in one corner. The air smelled stale and wrong. And on that cot, wrapped in thin blankets, was a woman. She was skin and bone. Her arms looked like sticks under the fabric. Her hair hung down long and tangled. Her skin was pale, almost gray. But her eyes. I knew those eyes. "Patricia," I said, and it came out like a broken sob. She lifted her head slowly. Tears ran down her hollow cheeks. "David." Everything inside me gave out. My knees buckled. Officer Martinez caught me before I hit the ground and eased me down. "Mr. Chen, do you know this woman?" "She is my wife," I whispered. "My wife who died 6 years ago." The paramedics rushed in. They checked her pulse, her breathing. They wrapped her in thick thermal blankets. "She is severely malnourished," one of them said. "Dehydrated." Extremely weak. As they prepared to carry her out, Patricia reached for me. Her fingers were cold and trembling, but she gripped my hand with surprising strength. "Melissa," she whispered. My heart stopped. What? It was Melissa. The room felt like it tilted sideways. "She never died," Patricia said weakly. "She was my nurse. She told me she could help me avoid the pain of dying. She gave me something. Said it would make me comfortable." Her breathing grew shallow. "But I did not die. I woke up here." "That is not possible," I said. "We had a funeral. I scattered your ashes." She looked at me with those same eyes I had loved for 40 years. "Whose ashes did you scatter, David?" I did not have an answer. They loaded her into the ambulance. I climbed in beside her, holding her hand the entire ride. My mind could not keep up with reality. My wife, the woman I had mourned every single day for 6 years, was alive. And the woman I had asked to marry me had done this to her. At the hospital, doctors surrounded Patricia. Tubes. Monitors. Tests. I stepped into the hallway and called Sophie. She answered on the first ring. "Dad? What is wrong? You never call during the day." "Sophie," I said, "I need you to sit down. You are scaring me. Your mother is alive." There was silence. So long I thought the call had dropped. "What did you just say?" "Your mother, Patricia. She is alive. Melissa kept her locked in our basement for 6 years." Sophie screamed. I had never heard a sound like that from my daughter. I knew it. She cried. "Dad, I knew something was wrong." "What are you talking about?" "The last few months, when I came home late at night, I heard noises from the basement. Tapping. Like someone was trying to send a message. And once I swear I heard Mom's voice. She was singing that lullaby she used to sing to me." My chest tightened. "But Melissa told me it was just the pipes," Sophie said. "She said I was stressed from school. She made me feel like I was losing my mind." My hands curled into fists. She had manipulated my daughter. Made her doubt herself. "Where is Melissa now?" Sophie asked. "She is at work. The police are looking for her." "I am getting on the next train to Toronto," she said. Detectives arrived at the hospital soon after. Detective Ryan Morrison and his partner took Patricia's statement. She was so weak she could only speak in short sentences, stopping often to breathe. Melissa had been Patricia's palliative care nurse. "She seemed kind," Patricia said softly. "Compassionate. But she was always asking about David. About our marriage. Our house. Our life together." At the time, Patricia thought it was harmless conversation. "One night she came to give me my morphine," Patricia continued. "But the injection felt different. I remember thinking that. Then everything went dark." "When you woke up?" the detective asked gently. "I was in that room." I swallowed hard. "How long were you there before the funeral?" I asked. "She kept me sedated for weeks," Patricia said. "I was too weak to fight. She told me you had moved on. That you did not want me anymore." Her eyes filled with tears. She showed me pictures on her phone. Pictures of you at restaurants. Smiling. Living your life. She said you were relieved I was gone. I broke down. "I mourned you every day," I said. "Every single day." "I know that now," she whispered. "But back then, I believed her. I stopped fighting." The detectives uncovered the rest quickly. Melissa had falsified the death certificate. As a nurse, she had access to hospital systems. She arranged for a closed-casket funeral, claiming Patricia's body was too deteriorated for viewing. No one questioned her authority. The ashes I scattered in High Park were not my wife's. They were likely unclaimed remains from a crematorium. For the first year, Melissa kept Patricia heavily drugged so she would stay weak and confused. She built the false wall in my basement while I was at work, telling me she was reorganizing the storage area. I had been drowning in grief. I never questioned it. For 6 years, she fed Patricia just enough to keep her alive. She installed a small ventilation system and soundproofed the hidden room. There was a chemical toilet she emptied when I was asleep or out of the house. Patricia lived almost entirely in darkness. Melissa allowed her to use a small lamp for only a few hours each day. "Why did she not just kill you?" Detective Morrison asked quietly. Patricia let out a bitter, broken laugh. "Control," she said. "She wanted to take my life without ending it. My husband. My daughter. Every time she brought me food, she told me about her day with David. What you said at dinner. Where you went on weekends. When he proposed to her. I felt sick. She wanted me to suffer," Patricia said. Then she looked at the detective. But Melissa made one mistake. Last year, Melissa started keeping Patricia awake more often. The drugs cost money, and she had to be careful. She worked at the hospital. If too much medication went missing from inventory, someone would notice. So she cut back. That decision saved my wife's life. With fewer sedatives in her system, Patricia slowly began to think clearly again. She started moving around in that tiny room. Quietly. Carefully. She would stretch her arms and legs. Do small exercises on the floor beside the cot. She was rebuilding strength, little by little. At some point she found a loose pipe behind one of the shelves. When the house was quiet, she would tap on it. Slow patterns. Rhythms. Anything that might travel through the walls. Sophie had heard those sounds. 3 months before the rescue, Patricia found something else. Melissa had made a mistake. She had left a book behind in the hidden room. Not just any book. It was Patricia's cookbook manuscript. The one she had been writing before her diagnosis. It was filled with family recipes, memories from her childhood, and stories from our life together. "I was writing it for Sophie," Patricia told us. "Every recipe had a story. I wanted her to have our family history in her hands." Melissa had stolen it from Patricia's belongings after staging her death. And she was planning to publish it under her own name. She had even shown Patricia the printed proof copy. Bragged about it. Told her the publisher loved it. Told her she was going to make money from it. That was when Patricia decided she had to fight harder. She started making more noise. Louder tapping. Especially when she heard Sophie's voice upstairs. She prayed her daughter would trust her instincts and come looking. The police arrested Melissa at the hospital during her shift. Witnesses later said she did not resist. She did not cry. She did not panic. She simply smiled and asked if she could finish her patient rounds first. In custody, she confessed to everything. She showed no remorse. "David was meant to be with me," she told detectives. "Patricia was dying anyway. I just moved things along. And once I had him, once we were happy, I could not let her take him back. If she came back, he would choose her. He would always choose her." A forensic psychologist later diagnosed her with erotomania and narcissistic personality disorder. She had convinced herself that I was secretly in love with her. In her mind, Patricia was the obstacle. In her twisted reasoning, keeping Patricia alive but hidden was mercy. She told investigators she could have killed her, but she had chosen to let her live. The trial became national news. Headlines across Canada told the story: "Woman fakes death, imprisons wife for 6 years." Melissa was convicted of kidnapping, forcible confinement, fraud, falsifying government documents, and attempted murder. The judge sentenced her to 25 years in prison, with no possibility of parole for 15 years. Patricia's recovery was long and painful. 6 years of captivity had done terrible damage. She had lost significant muscle mass. Her bones had weakened. Her eyesight had deteriorated from living in dim light for so long. But she was alive. And she was home. Sophie took a leave of absence from university to help care for her mother. The guilt she carried nearly crushed her. If I had just checked, she kept saying. If I had just gone down there. We began family therapy, the three of us sitting together in a quiet office once a week. You were just a child, Patricia told Sophie during one session. You heard something strange, and an adult you trusted told you it was nothing. That is not your fault. Sophie cried. I should have known, she said. You learned something, Patricia told her gently. Trust your instincts. If something feels wrong, look into it. Do not let anyone make you doubt what you know deep down is true. As for me, I struggled with a mountain of guilt. How had I not seen it? How had I walked around that house for 6 years, gone on dates, laughed at dinner, planned a wedding, while my wife was locked beneath my feet? My therapist helped me understand something I did not want to hear at first. I had been manipulated too. Melissa was trained. She knew how to present herself as compassionate and trustworthy. I was grieving. Vulnerable. She saw that and used it. Still, forgiveness did not come easily. Not even for myself. Patricia and I had to start over. We were not the same people we had been 6 years earlier. She had survived something unimaginable. I had buried her, mourned her, and nearly married the woman who imprisoned her. We could not simply pretend none of it happened. One evening, about 6 months after she came home, we were sitting quietly in the living room. I do not expect us to go back to who we were, Patricia said. We are different now. But maybe we can figure out who we are becoming. Together. So we began again. Coffee every morning at the kitchen table. Walks through the park. Therapy sessions. Honest conversations, even when they hurt. Slowly, carefully, we rebuilt trust. The following year, Patricia published her cookbook under her own name. She titled it Recipes from Captivity, Finding Light in the Darkest Places. It became a bestseller. She donated every dollar of the proceeds to organizations that support survivors of domestic violence and human trafficking. Sophie returned to university and graduated with honors in engineering. She wrote her thesis on soundproofing technology and how it can be misused in criminal confinement cases. Today, she works for a non-profit organization that installs panic buttons and sound detection systems in the homes of vulnerable individuals. Brandon Miller, the contractor who tore open that wall, became like family to us. I tried more than once to give him a large reward. He refused every time. He told me that sometimes doing the right thing is payment enough. As for me, I am still learning how to live with what happened. Some nights I wake up thinking I hear tapping in the walls. Then I remember Patricia is upstairs, asleep in our bedroom. Alive. And every morning when I see her at the kitchen table with her coffee, I thank God for the sound of breaking drywall and a contractor who decided to make one more cut. I only did what anybody else would have done, Brandon always says when people call him a hero. Since he would not take any money from me, I donated to his favorite charity in his name. And now he comes over for dinner once a month. He is not just the contractor who saved my wife's life. He is part of our family. It has been 5 years since that wall came down. When I look back on everything, there are lessons burned into me that I feel obligated to share. First, trust your instincts. If something feels wrong, do not ignore it. Do not let anyone, no matter how educated or respected or kind they seem, talk you out of your own judgment. Sophie heard the tapping. She felt something was not right. But Allison made her doubt herself. She told her it was the pipes. She blamed stress. She made my daughter question her own mind. We have to teach our children and the people we love to listen to that inner voice. It is there for a reason. Second, grief makes you vulnerable. When you are in deep mourning, you are desperate for relief. You will cling to anyone who offers comfort. That is when predators move in. They show understanding. They seem patient. They become exactly what you need. There are truly good people in this world. I believe that with all my heart. But there are also people who see heartbreak as an opportunity. When you are healing, guard your heart carefully. Third, the people we trust most can hide terrible darkness. Allison was a nurse. A caregiver. A woman I met in a support group for grieving spouses. She seemed perfect because she had crafted herself to seem perfect. She studied me. She learned what I missed, what I longed for, what I feared. Then she became that person. Evil does not always look frightening. Sometimes it smiles kindly and asks if you would like another cup of tea. Fourth, never dismiss the concerns of young people. Sophie tried to tell me something was wrong. She heard noises. She felt uneasy. But I was distracted. I was rebuilding my life. I did not want complications. I did not listen the way I should have. Children and teenagers often sense things adults overlook. When they speak up, take them seriously. Fifth, verify everything. I did not question the closed casket. I did not ask to see official paperwork myself. I trusted the system. I trusted the professionals. I trusted that what I was being told was the truth. In times of crisis, we still need to stay alert. That does not mean living in paranoia. It means being prudent. And finally, healing is possible. It is slow. It is painful. It is not perfect. But it is possible. Patricia will always carry what happened to her. Trauma does not disappear. But she has found ways to transform that pain into purpose. Her cookbook. Her advocacy. Her willingness to stand up and tell the truth. All of it helped her take back her story. Last spring, Patricia and I renewed our vows. We held a small ceremony in our backyard. Just family and close friends. Sophie stood beside us as our witness. Brandon was there. Officer Kevin Brooks came too. As I looked at my wife, strong and healthy and alive, I thought about how close I had come to losing her forever. How close I had come to marrying the woman who imprisoned her. How quietly evil had slipped into our lives. During my vows, I looked Patricia in the eyes and said, I promise to listen when you speak. I promise to trust you, to protect you, and to never take a single day with you for granted. She squeezed my hands and said, I promise to keep fighting. To keep living. And to remind you every day that we survived. We are still here. We won. Because of Patricia's advocacy, Sunnybrook Hospital changed its policies. Now 2 nurses must be present when administering medication to patients in palliative care. If there had been 2 people in that room, Patricia told the hospital board, this never would have happened. Small policy changes matter. Listening matters. Verification matters. Instincts matter. My name is David Chen. I am 68 years old now. I live in Toronto with my wife Patricia. We have been married 45 years. Sophie comes over almost every weekend with her fiancé. The house that once held a nightmare now holds laughter again. I have a good life. A blessed life. But I will never forget that phone call from Brandon. I will never forget the sound of my wife's weak voice coming from behind that wall. And I will never forget that evil can stand right in front of you, wearing the face of someone you trust. I tell this story every chance I get. Not because I enjoy reliving it. I do not. I tell it because if even one person listens more closely to their child, if one grieving widow or widower slows down and verifies what they are being told, if one neighbor investigates a strange sound instead of ignoring it, then something good will have come out of our suffering. 6 years before that wall came down, I would have said it was impossible for my dead wife to be alive. I would have said it was impossible for the kind nurse who comforted me to be a monster. I would have said it was impossible for someone to keep a prisoner hidden inside my own home without my knowledge. Every one of those impossible things happened. And if they could happen to me, they can happen to anyone. Stay alert. Trust your instincts. Ask questions. And never assume that something is impossible just because it is unthinkable.